So how valuable is this market at the minute?
It's hard to say how valuable it is because I haven't seen any major analysis in terms. I mean, you can effectively look at it in terms of volume of sales, and I've got some notes. Like Q1 of this year was around 10 million of transaction volume. Shift to Q2, a couple months later, it was up to 40 million. And then when you think of the last week of November, there was 100 million in metaverse land sales. You can see how fast it's growing, but also how much value is being pumped into this thing. In 1 week, there was a record set in Decentraland, a group called Tokens, which owns another group called the Metaverse Group, paid 2.5 mil US dollars for a parcel of land in the fashion district. Only a few days later, that record was smashed by, I think it was Republic Realm, paid 4.5 for a parcel in the Sandbox. So it's, these record land sales are being trumped almost week by week. And so that kind of gives you a pretty good insight into whether or not that determines value, but it's certainly what people are paying for land and gives you a guide as to how hot the market is right now.
Yeah, that's absolutely insane. $4.5 million, I assume. But
yeah, it was around the 4 point something. Yeah, I think it was around 4.5. Yeah.
Wow. So, like, how big is that piece of land, like dimension wise? And is there like physical limits on up and down? Do you know what I mean? Is like, can you do anything with that space? Like, can you? Yeah.
Well, specific to Decentraland, the height that you can build in is dependent on the width of or the amount of land you have in terms of breadth. So if you bought a single parcel of land, you couldn't put a skyscraper on it. So there are, I guess, there are limitations that have been brought across from the physical world. So in terms of how big that land sale was in the Sandbox at 4.5, I don't know specifically, but there have been parcel sales of like 116 plots or pieces of land, which make it an estate. I think these, and just today, actually, the Sandbox tweeted that there is another buyer who will be purchasing an even bigger parcel of land in the Sandbox in the coming days or weeks. So at this point, it doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime soon.
So, like, can you build across? Say you buy like several parcels of land. Can you build across the boundaries of it? Does it work like that in that sense?
Yeah. The boundaries really end at where the estate ends. So if it's, let's say, 100 parcels of land, you can build across all of those internal boundaries, but then you get up against the border wall. You can't go any further because it's most likely going to be someone else's land or a road or something like that.
Okay, so it's just, yeah, I'm still trying to like get my head around exactly like what the physical rules are in the world. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I assume then as well that like a lot of at least initially when I went into Decentraland 3-4 months ago, something like that, it was really cool, but it was a bit like blocky almost. It kind of gave me like a Minecraft vibe, which, like, not that that's a bad thing at all. Like, do you think these worlds do you think they'll like stick with that kind of old school vibe, or do you think that they'll be like constantly trying to make it like closer and closer and closer to reality?
I think Decentraland and the Sandbox also has a very blocky, probably even more of a Minecraft kind of feel to it. But Decentraland has chosen a particular aesthetic, and I think that could evolve, definitely. It certainly has evolved if you compare, images or screenshots from only a few years ago to today. In fact, one of the art director of Decentraland, they held a metaverse festival with acts like Dead Mouse. Even Paris Hilton turned up and put on a show. And the art director posted a screenshot from like 2017, 2018 to 2021, and the difference is, it's night and day. It's amazing. So I fully believe that aesthetic will evolve. Whether or not it becomes even more lifelike, I think that kind of that sort of defeats the purpose. Decentraland, and I know that the other worlds are designed to be their own experience. It's almost as if, someone built a Call of Duty world and you went in and you experienced that but it had a very much a Call of Duty feel, or a Skyrim feel, or pick your favorite video game. That they each have their unique aesthetics, and I think the worlds will probably hold to that. And if we pitch 5-10 years down the track, those worlds that thrive and really survive and become the big destinations will really be very much about the content they produce and the uniqueness of that experience. It won't be trying to necessarily replicate your everyday physical experience. It'll be an escape, but I think they will also be aiming to, and this is where you get into discussions about decentralized finance, that it will enhance our day-to-day in the physical world. And that's particularly true of the augmented reality experiences as well, particularly if you're walking down the street and things are served to you as you interact with people and buildings and things.
So we've kind of described like two different types of worlds here. So there's the decentralized ones and the more centralized metaverses that will be created. Which do you see being more successful or more widely used, perhaps is a better way of putting it?
That's an excellent question. I think that, okay, so if we take Facebook / Meta as the centralized front runners, although that does tend to underestimate the power of Roblox, which to all intents and purposes is a centralized world. But yeah, so I think that Facebook its metaverse or its virtual experience will have benefits for people who want that kind of curated, centralized experience. As you would have found going into Decentraland, there's a few hoops you have to jump through. Now, of course, they are constantly ironing those out, and it's becoming more and more user-friendly. But I think Facebook will, I probably should refer to them as Meta, but it just seems to make much more sense just to say Facebook. But
yeah,
I think
they got very mad at me for calling it Meta. He was like, "No, don't let their stupid rebrand work."
Yeah. Well, there's a good argument for that, but I think regular users of Facebook today or Meta today, they like it because it gives them the content that they're looking for. That it aggregates everything they want, and that's as far as they want to go with that. I feel like there will always be a market for that, just that ease of use. I think. So there'll be the centralized metaverse, there'll be the open metaverse. And that open metaverse has really coalesced into this very vocal group. When Meta did its rebrand and its big announcement where Mark Zuckerberg was saying, we're building the metaverse, they were like, well, hang on a second, it already exists and we're building it currently. And so, you've seen groups really form around this notion of we are the open metaverse, and decentralized metaverse or virtual worlds are absolutely the future, where the creator is empowered and, the musician, the artist is empowered to, own their intellectual property and monetize it as they see fit. They're not beholden to, centralized streaming platforms or record companies or what have you. So I think there'll be an open versus centralized experience. Who do I think will win? I don't think it's a matter of one winning over the other. I think it'll be a matter of coexistence. And I think there's every opportunity for somebody to have an account with the Meta experience and also be immersed in, various worlds in the open metaverse. Just as, I play Call of Duty, but at the same time, I like dipping into Skyrim. Very, very, very different games and very different experiences, you could say. But there's enough going on in each of them that I can share the love.
Thanks for making it all the way to the end of the video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment for us in the comments below. Let me know what you thought and if you'd like to see more of this from the show. Thank you, and we'll see you again next time.